How's it going, everybody? Rudy here. What I want to talk about today is this idea of gurus. It's something I'm meaning to talk about for a little bit. Guys, I have a lot to talk about. It's like I'm looking through my notepad, and just yesterday I got through editing that one video with the lady, May Muses, and she's going through the phase where I'm not trying to pick on her or anything. Everybody goes through this. She's going through a guru phase where she has to quote books to kind of get her point across, because that's all she knows. That's all she's been taught, and it's not her fault to a large extent. Her parents didn't tell her that there are other methods of acquiring wisdom, and wisdom isn't something that you can acquire. It's something that just happens. You either have it or you don't. And so she's going through the phase where she's guru seeking. I call it guru seeking. And as far as I know, I'm the person that came up with that phrase. I've never heard anyone else say it. Maybe it was about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, where I kind of came up with that phrase. You'll find that idea. You'll find individuals that guru seek in almost every facet of everything, whether it's art, philosophy, science, yada yada. You'll just find people who guru seek, and that's all. Then sometimes they never get out of that phase, and to an extent, we need to get away from the word guru, because it implies as if like they're experts. It's equivalent to the word expert, in my opinion, which anybody who claims they're an expert or anybody who claims they're a guru, you need to just run away. Just run away. I'm not an expert. I'm not a guru. I'm not a preacher. I'm not the padre. I'm not your daddy. Okay. You either take what I talk about and somehow apply it to your own life, or you don't. It doesn't bother me, because it's your life, not mine, kind of deal. But this lady in May's Muses, she's going through that. She's going through this big phase in her life where she's guru seeking, like information. What can I extract? I need more. And I know how that goes. When I was studying art, so I spent about 7 years doing that, like finding gurus, finding my other artists. Oh, they're so good. I need to talk to them. I need to socialize with them. I just need to be in their presence and kind of leech what I can. It's a very very selfish behavior, in my opinion. Very self-fulfilling, leechy behavior. And I still am guilty of it. I really try not to do it. Y'all know I listen to Jesse Lee Peterson, and that's where he helped me kind of overcome that, even though at first I considered him sort of a guru. But I went into it already knowing that people are people. He's just a person. Even when I was guru seeking in the art world, I realized very quickly that these people are just people. They have flaws, they have wants, they have needs, they're selfish. All people are selfish. And it's like, just going by that kind of fact alone, there are no gurus, there are no experts. And this lady's talked about, like, in her video that I went over, she talked about Carl Jung, and I bring up people like Alan Watts, so I'm not guilty of it, but when I bring up Alan Watts, I'm very aware, and I've had people point this out to me, like I don't know. And to be fair, I hadn't mentioned it, but it doesn't matter if I mention it, because if I mention it in one video and not the next, then people are going to think that I don't know. So it's whatever. I'm not going to mention it all the time. But Alan Watts was a drunk. He was an alcoholic. He was very much into the material, self-admittedly. He says he likes drinking, he likes girls, he likes sex, he likes partying. All the while being this Zen Buddhist guru, right? But to me, that's the big hint that people need to take. Like, oh, he's just a person. He's a person like me. Alan Watts even talks about that in his own lectures, where other people have such a ridiculous expectation of these Indian gurus and these Asian gurus, and when they see him lash out, not Alan Watts, but when they see the guru lash out or act in a more human way, it's like demystifying. It's all of a sudden it's not so special anymore, because the fantasy the person had in their head, it's not meeting their fantasy expectations, which to me is just evil. But it's okay at the same time, because a lot of people don't realize they're doing it until they have to see it for themselves. It's okay to point out, like this girl, for instance, really into B.F. Skinner. She's really into B.F. Skinner, and the other one was Carl Jung, and I like Carl Jung a lot. I'm familiar with his synchronicity stuff. All the stuff he talks about synchronicity is super, super interesting. But he in his own interviews admitted that he's a horrible person. He's integrated the shadow. The shadow part of him is a part of him, and he can't escape that. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if he said that directly, but like he used to get in fights as a kid and stuff like that, and he would really beat people up. Like the other school kids were like afraid of him. It was a really interesting interview where just ultra aggressive behavior from him when he was a lot younger. And I think that's where, when you get older, you kind of grow out of that, and then you realize, you kind of think back to your life, like, why was I like that? It's not necessarily a case of just being kids. It's more of along the lines of that shadow part of us is very untamed and out of control when we're very young, especially if you don't have parents that correct you or are examples, especially if you have parents that aren't good examples. But y'all know how it goes with parents, especially mothers, where their shadow selves are just out in the open at all times, and they don't even realize it. They think they're loving and nurturing, and it's nothing like that. It's amazing to me. So the other guy, the other guru, quote unquote, that she mentioned was George Gurdjieff, I think is how you pronounce it. Gurdjieff, never heard of him. Then she brought up, like in the video, she brought up The Simpsons, Lisa Simpson. And I was like, oh my god. And you know what? As clown world as that is, where else would she have heard it from, right? And I get that. Like, maybe I gave her too much of a hard time about that, but it's so, like, I would have kept that to myself. Like what I said, like, I don't remember where I heard about Alan Watts. It was probably from something just as goofy, if I really think back on it, but I would have just kept that to myself, because these Satan approved, Luciferian approved, not Nook approved gurus, especially from a creature like Matt Groening, like, oh my god, give me a break. But it's like I mentioned before, I understand I bring up guys a lot too, like Alan Watts or a Jesse Lee Peterson, right? But those aren't really gurus to me. They're just guys who say wise things and have had a life different from mine, and maybe I can extract some wisdom out of that. And it is selfish, like it is. But I do it knowing fully well that it's selfish behavior. But that's why I try to give back. At least with my channel, I try to just maybe give back a little bit. And I do have selfish motivations, because it is an ego boost. I get a little ego, dopamine fix from posting videos and seeing likes and seeing the view count go up every day, or stuff like that. It's just human nature. It's really hard to just drop that. I won't even say it's really hard. It's not even worth thinking about, because it's whatever. Like, what is a view? Like what this girl said. What is a view? What is a like? What is a click? It's nothing. It's like fairy dust. It doesn't matter. Once I'm dead in the ground, these views and these clicks, these likes aren't going to matter. So in a big way, overall, it doesn't matter. It isn't even worth getting worked over about this idea that I'm getting an ego boost from it. So what? What doesn't give me an ego boost? What doesn't give me a dopamine fix? Playing video games? Eating a bologna sandwich? You know, I'm probably going to get Dairy Queen in a minute. That's going to give me a little dopamine fix. When do we draw the line? So fuck it, like enjoy it for what it is. But that's besides the point. My main reason for this is to just a little advice, a little PSA to don't stop treating these gurus as if they're gurus. They're not gurus. They're wannabe gurus. If that makes sense. They wish they were gurus. I wish I was a guru, but I'm not. I'm some fat fuck in the middle of Louisiana. And y'all may think that, oh, there you go, self-deprecating, whatever, self-defecating. Shit in my pantalones. But it's like, I'm aware that I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy, limited vocabulary, trying to figure this out the way y'all trying to figure this out. And we can figure it out together, maybe. I'm just going to read one of my notes. Your normal everyday life experiences is a sufficient teacher if you keep an eye on yourself, because what's going on within others is what's going on within you. You don't need a guru if you pay attention to your own actions and your motivations. But this requires a person to be honest with themselves, which most people are incapable of. No one can teach you. It's already within you. No one has to go to another part of the world to listen to some wannabe guru. Anyone identifying themselves as a guru has already outed themselves as a charlatan. I'm just reading notes I've taken, kind of muses I've had on my own that I'll either write down in a notebook or write in my notepad on my phone. So this is coming from me. I'm not quoting anybody, but obviously this is an accumulation of ideas that I've heard other people say, and I put it into my own words. To me, that's the best way to get to people, to make them understand, or at least give them your ear, because the minute you start quoting the Bible or quoting some guru or quoting Krishnamurti or Sadhguru, well, Sadhguru is a piece of work. Man, I used to listen to Sadhguru and I was like, I can't listen to this dude anymore. He's a clown. He's a clown. His presentation is just like comical to me. But anyway, it's besides the point. Poor Sadhguru. I'm over here picking on Sadhguru. He didn't do nothing to nobody. Damn, Rudy. What's your problem? But people, getting back to the mirror thing, I brought up, I don't think I brought this up actually. I'm not talking about the Black Mirror reality. I'm talking about literally people cannot look in the mirror and see themselves for what they are. To see themselves as a mess. They're afraid to look in the mirror and see the stone on their back, the walking trauma, the walking baggage that they carry. Everywhere they go. That's why it's like they hit the snooze button. Like when they're on the cusp of waking up, when they finally see themselves, just a tiny bit, they get afraid. They hit the snooze button. They go back to sleep. It's amazing. They understand for like a very brief moment, and they go back to their usual patterns of behavior. Nothing changes. Like I talked about with the little girl who killed herself. It's like nobody in that family changed. Like it's the same bull crap. The yelling, the screaming, the pathologizing. It's like nothing changed. Nothing changed. The patterns of behavior did not change, despite the fact that now we have a person's life who's snuffed out before they even had a chance to, I don't know, kiss a boy, right? Like the basics of going on dates or whatever, making mistakes, all because the parents are nuts and the grandparents are nuts, and nobody takes responsibility. That still pisses me off to this day, guys. That's the thing that gets me going. Like, I'm pretty chill, I'm pretty calm, but whenever I think about this, just people walking around thinking they're not responsible. Like right now, I'm sitting in a parking lot to a damn grocery store, talking in a microphone. I can see these people, like, and I'm not saying like I have clairvoyance or some bullshit like that. I'm saying I have discernment, like the body language, the gap between, let's say, a husband and wife, the who's leading who, a person and a rascal who just needs help with everything because they've gotten so used to their situation that they just don't try anymore. And I don't know their story, right? So that's unfair, but to a degree, but you get my point. It's just like heartbreaking, and that's the thing that gets me. That's the only thing that makes me weep for people. That's why Jesus wept. Because the people couldn't see. It's like it's so obvious to, it's just so obvious to me. And I'm not saying I'm Jesus. It's just like, once you see it, you see it. And it's like, you can't close your eyes. You can't, like what Jesus said, forgive them, they know not what they do. It's like, you have to have mercy. You have to have pity. Because here they are throwing rocks at an innocent man. They left their keys in the basket. Anyway, they're throwing tomatoes and throwing oranges at an innocent man who's at his lowest in a sense, at his highest in a big degree too, because he's being scapegoated. It's not his fault, but it was his fault at the same time. And it's like, forgive them. They have no clue what they're doing. They're blind. That's what that means. It's like, it's deep. It's like super deep. But it's like, it has to be that way. Like, there needs to be scapegoats. That's what human beings do. The yin and yang balance, the yin yang balance. Matt talked about that recently, and it was pretty amazing he talked about that. I'm telling you, man, these fractals, it's like I talk about something, and like a week or two later, Matt McKinley or Jesse Lee Peterson or Christoph or somebody's talking about what I was thinking about, like a week or two later. And it's like, what is going on? What is going on? I'm not saying I created it, but I'm saying like it's the spiritual attention. Just the attention alone sends out signals into the world or something to that effect. It just flows out. It explodes into the ether. And it's almost like an infection. Like, I'm not saying as a negative thing, but I'm not saying it's a negative thing, but it's like a mind worm, a virus, an infection. It's just, certain people get a frequency. They're on the download, a good download, like a spiritual download, and they can't help it. They can't, their minds are attracted to these ideas. Like a spiritual awakening, only a few people receive the frequency. So overall point, guys, just when it comes to my channel, I'm just in the hopes of at least one of y'all. It only takes one. At least one of y'all will start thinking for yourselves, like, get away from this. But I have a suspicion the people that are sub to me, y'all really know already. Smart dudes like commenting on my channel who I'm like, these people should have their own channels because they're so smart. Like, make your own channels, guys. Like, share your ideas with people. Get it out there. Even if let's say you have to type it out and you have to read from a script to do it. Like, do it. Just do it. I'm not the best at speaking on the fly. I'm not like Matt McKinley where he can just speak on the fly and reference all these movies and I don't know. He has a gift for that, and it's great. He's using his talents. What is my fucking talent? I don't know. Eating tacos? It's stupid, guys. Culture's so stupid. It's funny. But anyway, stop at the guru seeking is my main point. This girl, Maze Muses, she's in the stage of guru seeking. She knows not what she does, so I understand. That's why I tried my best not to give her too much crap during my presentation. But maybe she'll stumble on my video, because I thought about emailing her or trying to find her email or something, leaving a comment saying, hey, I did a response video, you mind looking at it? But it's like, do I really care? Does it matter? My message is for my subscribers or anybody else who subscribes or whoever stumbles on it. There's something in the ether, a fractal, that will lead them to my video. Just like Jesus said, my words, it wouldn't be right to, I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly how it went. I've talked about it before where Jesus meets the Canaanite lady approaches Jesus and begs for her to cure her daughter. And Jesus goes something along the lines of, it wouldn't be right to give the bread meant for the children to the dogs. And that's how I feel about it. Like, what I have to say is only for people who are on the spiritual frequency that I'm on. And again, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm saying I'm speaking in tongues, so it's like only a few people will understand. And that's what speaking in tongues really means. Everybody, it's so funny, guys. I was going to wrap it up, but I want to talk about this real quick again. Well, not again, but I want to talk about this because I need to bring it up at some point. And we'll start with this video. Why not? The speaking in tongues thing, to me, what I figured out about it, people think it's like rolling on the ground and start like just speaking gibberish. And I'm not going to imitate it because it's cringe. They think it's that. They think speaking in tongues is this weird thing you do where you kind of roll on the ground and start mumbling to yourself and your eyes roll in the back of your head, and that's retarded. It's fucking retarded. These people are just acting. They feel it's peer pressure. They feel peer pressure to do it, so they just do it. They see everyone else doing it. It's like like I said, a mind virus. It's like a momentary social dementia or something along those lines. There's better words for that, but I can't. It's not coming to me right now, and I don't want to stop talking. I'm watching this guy work. It's kind of funny. Anytime I talk about these strange subjects, I'm speaking in tongues. Karina was speaking in tongues when she called Jesse Lee Peterson, and she's talking about how she forgave her father and all of these things. And like, Jesse didn't come back at her with anything. He just said, yep, that's right. Because he knows, like Jesse knows. Jesse speaks the same language that she was speaking. And the chat room was so nasty. I don't really want to get into that, but the people in the chat were just kind of making fun of her, and just the nastiest group of individuals I've ever seen. Because this woman is giving her testimony, and all they can do is make fun of her Mexican accent. And it's disgusting. Because their eyes aren't open. Like, even Jesse's people, like Jesse's, not his people, but Jesse's subscribers and his commenters and his viewers are just a bunch of dummies. The same with Jesus' disciples, a bunch of dummies. Because Jesus was speaking in tongues. Forget them, they don't know what they do. Like, what does that mean? They take it so literally, like, beware the yeast of the Pharisees. That's speaking in tongues. Because his dumb Pharisees didn't understand. They thought he was talking about bread, out of all things. And there's examples of that all throughout the Bible. I'm speaking in tongues because what I say isn't going to resonate with the normie, isn't going to resonate with the NPC. And I'm just going to keep using that word and stop feeling guilty about it, because these people have not proven otherwise that they are not NPCs. Like, they are on a frequency, they are on a download at all times. They walk around with their trauma and they're so proud of it. A lot of people are just proud of it. They don't want to wake up. Like I said it before in I think it was the Toxic Familia video, where I'm like, these people do not want to remove the clown makeup because they identify with it and they love it. They're in love with it. It's like a lioness's stinky blanket. This therapy blanket. It stinks and needs to go in the laundry, and they're afraid to wash it because they identified with it. They think that if they take off their clown makeup, they'll disappear. And I think I'm going to end the video here, guys. I've said what I needed to say. Big message. If you encounter a guru, even if you encounter somebody like that you resonate with, that you understand, like, give them a gap. Put a little gap between you and him or her. And just realize they're people like you. They got to take their pants off and sit on the can, just like everybody else. You know, their bodies stink. They're just a mess. That's all, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
So then, here's the drama. My metaphysics, let me be perfectly frank with you, are that there is the central self. You can call it God, you can call it anything you like. And it's all of us. It's playing all the parts of all beings whatsoever, everywhere and anywhere. And it's playing the game of hide and seek with itself. It gets lost, it gets involved in the farthest out adventures, but in the end, it always wakes up and comes back to itself. And when you're ready to wake up, you're going to wake up. And if you're not ready, you're going to stay pretending that you're just a poor little me. And since you're all here, and engaged in this sort of inquiry and listening to this sort of lecture, I assume that you're all on the process of waking up. Or else you're teasing yourselves with some kind of flirtation with waking up, which you're not serious about. But I assume maybe you are, not serious but sincere, that you are ready to wake up. So then, when you're in the way of waking up and finding out who you really are, you meet a character called a guru. As the Hindus say this word, the teacher, the awakener. And what is the function of a guru? He's the man who looks at you in the eye. You know, you come to the guru and say, "Sir, I have a problem. I'm unhappy and I want to get one up on the universe, or I want to become enlightened. I want spiritual wisdom." And the guru looks at you and says, "Who are you?" You know Sri Ramana Maharshi, that great Hindu sage of modern times? People used to come to him and say, "Master, who was I in my last incarnation?" As if that mattered. And he would say, "Who is asking the question?" And he'd look at you and say, basically, go right down to it. You're looking at me, you're looking out, and you're unaware of what's behind your eyes. Go back in and find out who you are, where the question comes from, why you ask. Shiva, I recognize you. When you come to my door and you say, "I'm so-and-so," I say, "Ha ha, what a funny way God has come on today." There are all sorts of tricks, of course, that gurus play. They say, "Well, we're going to put you through the mill." And the reason they do that is simply that you won't wake up until you feel you've paid a price for it. In other words, the sense of guilt that one has, or the sense of anxiety, is simply the way one experiences keeping the game of disguise going on. You see that? Supposing you say, "I feel guilty." Christianity makes you feel guilty for existing. That somehow the very fact that you exist is an affront. You are a fallen human being. I remember as a child when we went to the services of the church on Good Friday, they gave us each a colored postcard with Jesus crucified on it. And it said underneath, "This have I done for thee, what doest thou for me?" You know, you felt awful. You have nailed that man to the cross. Because you eat steak, you have crucified Christ. Because you killed the bull. After all, you depend on it. Mithra, it's the same mystery. And what are you going to do about that? "This have I done for thee, what doest thou for me?" You feel awful that you just exist at all. But that sense of guilt is the veil across the sanctuary. Don't you dare come in. In all mysteries, when you're going to be initiated, there's somebody saying, don't you come in. You've got to fulfill this requirement, and this requirement, and this requirement, and this requirement, then we'll let you in. And so you go through the mill. Why? Because this is, you're saying to yourself, "I won't wake up until I feel I deserve it. I won't wake up until I've made it difficult for me to wake up. So I invent for myself an elaborate system of delaying my waking up. I put myself through this test and that test, and when I feel it's been sufficiently arduous, then I may at last admit to myself who I really am, and draw aside the veil, and realize that after all, when all is said and done, I am that I am, which is the name of God. And when it comes to it, that's really rather funny. They say in Zen, when you attain Satori, nothing is left to you at that moment but to have a good laugh. But naturally, all masters, Zen masters, yoga masters, every kind of master, puts up a barrier and says to you, you simply plays your own game. You know, we say anybody who goes to a psychiatrist ought to have his head examined. Because you, when you go to a psychiatrist, you define yourself as somebody who ought to have his head examined. Same way, the Zen masters say anybody who studies Zen or comes to a Zen master ought to be given 30 blows with a stick, because he was stupid enough to pose the question that he had a problem. But you're the problem. You put yourself in this situation. So it's a question fundamentally. Do you define yourself as a victim of the world or as the world? You can define yourself. You see, if you identify you with what you call the voluntary system of the nerves and say, only that's me, and that's really a rather limited amount of my total performance, what I do voluntarily, then you've defined yourself as the victim in the game. And so you are able to feel that life was a trap. Something else, whether it was God or whether it was fate or whether it was the big mechanism, the system, imposed this on you. And you can say, poor little me. But you can equally well, and with just as much justification, define yourself not only as what you do voluntarily, but also what you do involuntarily. Do you beat your heart or don't you? Or does it just happen to you? And if you define yourself as the works, then nobody's imposing on you. You're not a victim. You're doing it. Because you can't explain how you do it in words, because words are too clumsy. And it takes too long to say. You get bored with it. But actually, then you can say, with gusto, I am responsible for this life. Whether comedy or tragedy, I did it. And it seems to me that that is a basis for behavior and going on, which is more fundamentally joyous and profitable and great than defining ourselves as miserable victims or sinners or what have you.